The moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerf Herder Chandler and Jim Kaiju Baker. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
I don't know. Looks pretty wet and sloppy to me.
Well, today is the start of daylight savings time, and I would have liked to have had my clone step in for me, and I'd still be in bed now.
How do I know this is not your clone?
How do I know that you're not a clone? I don't know.
Oh, I never said I wasn't. I'm still sleeping.
I've never even spoken to the real Jeff.
No, that's true. That
Jeff
is absolutely
Prime,
true.
Jeff Prime.
Yeah, we go alpha, beta. Yeah, we go right down the list.
Yeah.
Happy Daylight Savings Day, said no one ever. What are we here for? We are on the Bong Joon-ho Express.
We are. It's going to turn into a bullet train on the second half of this episode.
Ooh, well, Brad Pitt is involved in this first movie. So
Mickey
there you go. There's
17. Mickey 17, and this is not a Disney movie.
And, well, not a Disney movie, right? Where's Minnie? Actually, I was very concerned because I had not seen Mickey 1 through 16, so I thought I was going to be confused, but they did a pretty good job of filling me in.
But yeah, they catch you right up in the first 4 minutes.
They pretty much bang it over your head and explain it to you.
For lack of a good clone double feature, we decided to go with the director, Bong Joon-ho, and why not?
I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, it's not.
No, especially when this guy's shooting out bangers like Snowpiercer.
And we've already covered The Host, a favorite of ours. We've already covered Parasite.
Yeah.
Best Picture. And this is his follow-up to that.
Holy crap, that was like...
It was a while ago, yeah.
That was a few years ago.
Hey, the pressure's on. He's in the big leagues now.
Is this his second English?
Well, if you count Snowpiercer, which is kind of a mixed media in terms of language, yeah, this is completely an English film.
Yeah, that's true. Robert Pattinson doing his best Steve Buscemi voice. Like,
I read somewhere when he did his first read-through or first reading for Bong Joon-ho, he was doing, as Mickey 17 and Mickey 18, Johnny Knoxville and Steve-O from Jackass.
Well, that's a choice.
And Bong Joon-ho is like, maybe for the movie.
What are you doing? Yeah. All right. That's cute. But no, really, what are you doing? All right. We'll get there. Want to do some news first?
Sure. Let's do some news.
All right. Let's do some news. I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound like I'm like, oh, you want to do this now? It is Daylight Savings Day. I lost an hour's sleep.
Maybe we'll wake up as the episode goes on.
Yes, I think we will get more animated. Well,
and Mickey 17 is not really the movie that you'd want to watch going right into Daylight Savings Time. So
thankfully, I caught it beforehand.
Just keep that in mind.
Yes, I almost feel like we should be talking Snowpiercer first, but all right, shall I try to do this news? So I think this first news item may rile you up a little bit, may get you fired up for this movie review. But apparently, James Bond now answers to Jeff Bezos. So
I assume he is now the overlord of the James Bond series, the producer, maybe? The Broccolis are no longer involved?
Well, it's okay. So I guess Barbara Broccoli and her half-brother Michael Wilson are going to retain financial stake in the property, but Amazon has acquired the rights to the 007 IP, which would include all kinds of theatrical television spin-offs, licensing, interconnected cinematic universe potential. Everyone wants that DCU. Everyone wants that MCU. Amazon back in 2022 acquired MGM for $8.5 billion. But the Broccolis had retained control of the property. And I guess Bezos just told his lawyers, do whatever you got to do. Get her out of there. I want this. So I couldn't find an actual number of what they paid, but the fact that she's going to retain licensing, financial stake to a certain degree. But maybe it's a good thing at this point. It does sound like she was a bit of a problem in the past. Not only has Steven Spielberg, but Christopher Nolan shown interest in directing a James Bond movie. Nolan was told straight up to his face, you will not maintain final edits. And he wanted none of it then. He's like, well, then it's not my movie. So he walked away. And Spielberg went after it right after Close Encounters. And Barbara Broccoli's father, Cubby Broccoli, who maintained it for years and years, said no because he deemed Spielberg too inexperienced, which is kind of a bummer. It's like, wow, I would have loved to have seen Spielberg do a James Bond movie.
So that means if he was going to do one after Close Encounters, it would have been Moonraker.
Interesting, which would have been right in his wheelhouse with a little space genre. The potential, the possibilities.
What could have
been. Yeah. Obviously, we have not seen James Bond since Daniel Craig's last outing in 2021, which was No Time to Die. So we don't know who's going to be cast as this character and what they plan to do with it.
It'll be Jeff Bezos, actually. That's why he...
No, I think he'll be the great bad guy. Prepare to be streamed, Dr. Bond.
Or it might be like an Austin Powers where he plays all roles. It'll be shot on a cell phone.
I would actually pay to see that. With his evil cat, Elon, at his side.
Yes.
That would be fun. So I thought that was interesting. They have wrestled control away from the Broccolis, and Amazon now has the rights. So
we'll see.
We shall see. We shall sit back and we shall wait, and we shall see what they got up their sleeves. I did want to just mention the passing of Gene Hackman, which this sounds very, very sad. Because not only did they find him passed away, but his wife as well, who was like 20 years younger than him.
Yeah.
And their dog. But Michelle Trachtenberg, who was part of Buffy, we just spoke about Buffy getting rebooted here last episode.
Yes.
36.
39, I believe.
39.
Yes.
Okay.
Also was Harriet the Spy, I believe. She was in that.
Oh, geez. Oh.
So when she was even younger. But yeah, she appeared on Buffy mid-show, in one of the later seasons as Buffy's teenage kid sister that she never had before. So for the first, it was actually a really brilliant move because the first 2 or 3 episodes, you're like, wait a second, where has this girl come from? Buffy never had a sister before. And it was the big bad of the season who manipulated this and put her in place there for whatever nefarious purposes, kind of like Smurfette and Gargamel.
Like just conjured her into the realm that everyone just remembered her.
And everybody just remembered her as it was like a Doctor Strange deal. Yeah.
Was she Muffy? Was that her name? Buffy's sister, Muffy?
Dawn. Her name was Dawn.
Dawn. Okay. Yeah, that's too bad. Okay, I got one more news item in which you should get a kick out of this as well, because we've actually joked about this. And now here it is. This is the world we live in. John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein, who wrote and created the last Dungeons and Dragons movie, Thieves Among Us, just closed a deal with Lionsgate to write a movie based on the board game Monopoly.
Oh, John Francis Daley is one of the stars of the much-missed TV show Freaks and Geeks.
Oh, that's going back. That's a deep cut.
I see him still acting in some things, but I also see his name a lot in the writer's credits on quite a few projects.
Well, I think he's got his work cut out for them in this one. How do you make this entertaining?
You could point to Battleship and say, hey, but that didn't work.
But at least that's action. This is just acquiring property from each other. So if anybody who's out there doesn't know what Monopoly is, was a board game that dates all the way back to 1935 and it challenges players to acquire properties and build houses and hotels, all while avoiding bankruptcy and the dreaded go directly to jail card.
Well,
The game
unless
is
they go completely meta and they work it as an actual, like a Jumanji kind of a thing, where you're on the board or whatever, you know.
we're getting that with Minecraft. We've already gotten that with Jumanji. Yeah, I don't know.
But
It's
otherwise, yeah, what is it going to be? Like
right,
a real estate drama?
right. Yeah. I mean, it basically just shows that the consolidation of wealth is overall bad for the health of an economy. It's like literally a monopoly is not a good thing. Companies get broken down because they have a monopoly, and yet our entire use we're spent trying to take out our little brothers and sisters and laughing maniacally when they landed on Broadway.
Yeah. Or got stuck in jail.
Or get stuck in jail. Yes, indeed. I'm still waiting for Hungry Hungry Hippo, but that sounds not exciting. Maybe they can merge these two properties and James Bond can try and acquire all the railroads.
Maybe this will be like a Roger Rabbit for board games. You'll have cameos left and right. Candyland, Shoots and Ladders.
Candyland actually seems that that could be a potential. Like there's a storyline there. You're trying to get
Yep.
from point A to point B, and you're encountering all these creatures along the way.
Yes, yeah.
That I could see. Monopoly is just, I want to get rich. I don't know. And we're getting those commercials with Chris Pratt and what's his name? Aquaman. Jason Momoa. And those Monopoly scratch off.
Yes.
Oh, it's an online game. I think it is. That looks more entertaining than what this might be. But again, I mean, if John Francis Daly can make gold out of Dungeons and Dragons, maybe he could do something with this. I don't know. I'm not holding my breath on this one.
Well, hopefully it starts with an idea, right? So hopefully it's a good one.
That's got it. It's like
Don't let us down.
someone's got to have an idea. Someone's got to have some kind of a spark. It's like I can do this.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I mean, Battleship actually makes sense because you're trying to blow up. I mean, the board game doesn't involve aliens, which
Yeah,
is
I was going to
what happened
say,
in
it's
the
like,
TV
I don't
show, the
remember having
movie.
like a little alien peg, but that would have been cool if there was.
No, that was fun. That was very meta. So yeah. All right, I guess we'll find out. All right, let's go
To the
to
movies? To the
Niflheim.
Mickeys?
Let's go to the Mickeys.
So yeah, I kept hearing Nipplheim as the planet.
Niflheim. I had to look it up because I saw you could see it written on the screen a couple times, and until they said it out loud, I was like, how the hell do you even pronounce that?
The first time when they wrote it out, because it was only up there briefly, and I read it as Wilhelm. So I'm like,
No.
oh, that would be so cool if they named it after the Wilhelm scream.
There is
But
a
no,
Wilhelm scream in this movie when the
there
guy
is.
dressed in the pigeon costume gets squished in the door.
That would have been
Wilhelm.
great then. That would have been great.
Wilhelm. Actually, I just put it in as Hoth.
Stuck in a hole in Hoth. That was my note as well.
There
at the
you
very
go.
beginning. Yep.
Why are all these planets just one climate? Weren't we told that there's like numerous Goldilocks planets out there? Why would we go to a planet that's all hostile ice?
I want to go to that planet at the end of Rogue One. It's just like the Caribbean all the time.
And AT-ATs walking around on the
No
beach.
wonder why they've got their plans there. And nobody wants to go to Hoth.
Right, correct. It's like this is a good place to hide out. No one's gonna look here. Like those morons aren't going there. Oh yeah, we did. We went there. Yeah, Niflheim. But we have to. Yeah, so we start there. Like we open with Mickey basically getting ready to die yet again, and then it backtracks and basically fills you in on how he got there. He just was trying to open a macaroon store.
Yeah, which is
Ran
ridiculous.
afoul of a loan shark. And
What did
now
they
has
say?
to run off.
Somebody gave us bad information that macaroons would someday be more popular than hamburgers. Like, have you ever had a macaroon? That's
And have you ever had a hamburger? Now compare the two. They look like hamburgers.
they do. They're like little. They are like little colorful hamburgers. So they
See,
look
this-
very appealing. I
Yes,
will
they do.
give them that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, multicolored. You can have whatever color you want.
yeah. But once you actually eat it,
This is a
you're
missed
like,
opportunity because at the end of this movie, I did want to see him open a macaroon stand just to bring everything full circle. Didn't happen.
But does that mean that the loan shark at the end is forgiven him of his loan?
Well, I guess he's on another planet now. So the one
Well, that didn't stop
associate-
the guy coming from. There's
he had
only
to have
one
been already on
associate
the
that they're going to send there.
But so this made me think that that guy was on the ship from the get-go.
Oh yeah, he would have had to have been, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, we find out that the only way for Mickey and his friend, who I kept calling Timu, that's
It's Glenn.
Timo,
It's Glenn.
is Glenn.
Yeah.
He's also Mark from Invincible. He did the voice for Invincible.
Stephen
Stephen
Yun.
Yoon. Yeah.
Yes. When he appears, because he also shows up at the very beginning, because you
Yep.
see Robert Pattinson kind of brush snow off his face, extreme close up, and he's stuck in a hole. He's fallen through the ice on this strange Hoth-like planet. You kind of get the impression he's broken his back, but I think he just has the wind knocked out of him because he's fine a little bit
Oh well,
later
I guess I'm
on.
going to leave you there to die.
So yeah, Glenn Timo comes down on
Glenn, we're
the
just going to
like
call him
the
Glenn.
rescue ship comes over. You see from Robert Pattinson's point of view the little hole that he fell through. Rescue ship comes down. Glenn comes down on his cord. Oh, your flamethrower is right here. I can reach it. I can't reach you. You're 10 feet more than the cord will allow me to go. But they're just going to reprint you tomorrow, so it's not so bad, right?
Yeah. Hey, by the way, what's it like to die? Like that's a
And
running
you're like,
joke
this
through the
guy is
entire
such a
thing.
jerk.
Take the bat to his head myself.
Yes.
Yeah, this is so then you get the backstory of them having to get off planet in order to
And they're friends. That is what makes this beginning scene so deplorable in terms of this character of Timo, is that they're buddies. They came to this planet together. It's like a colonization project for this failed politician played by Mark Ruffalo and his teeth.
he is listen, this is a one note, very Trumpian, inept, failed politician. It is, I mean, right down to the red hats. I'm like, all right, we see what we're doing here. They bang it over your head a little bit, but yeah, this character is reprehensible from the
So,
minute you meet him.
and he's got like a cult-like following.
Yeah, he's like an evangelical, but somehow he convinced the powers that be to let him lead this 4-year mission to this planet to recolonize Niflheim.
And use clones to do so, which have been banned
What
on Earth.
one clone.
Right.
But so they ban it. So they ban this practice on Earth, but he somehow convinces them, well, when we're in space, off
We're
planet.
out of jurisdiction.
And right, yeah. But we're only going to print one at a time, and this guy is going to be because what Mickey, in his haste to escape, signed paperwork as an expendable, which he clearly did not understand or read the paperwork. And everyone around him is like, you read the paperwork, right? Oh, yeah.
It really goes to show because all this is given to you in flashback as Mickey is stuck there in the hole. Like, how did I get here? Well, let me tell you.
Yes, correct. That's exactly, yep. That's the setup.
The macaroon store, the loan that they can't repay because nobody buys macaroons, so they are trying to run and get off the planet from this loan shark before they're killed, who loves to chainsaw people, by the way, this loan shark. There are motivations for him to just do whatever it takes to get off the planet. Mickey settles for being an expendable, a clone. So
And there's a this beautiful montage of these numerous Mickeys being left out in space or injected with pathogens or put on a planet. So you see his demise in numerous ways, and it's entertaining if you'd like to see a character die, knowing that he's immediately going to get reprinted out. And there's a running joke as well where he's literally coming out of this replicator like a an old DOS print matrix piece of paper. He's coming out and he comes back in. He goes out and he comes back in. And someone forgot to put the table there, so he just flops out on the ground. Like they don't treat this guy like he's a human in any way, shape, or form. He's just a means to an end.
he has all his memories intact every time he comes out. So he remembers what happens to the previous Mickey, and he knows what's
Yeah,
going
he's
to
kind of
happen
like
to him.
they download his memory every time. They just keep it so
It's
he
like Battlestar Galactica, right? With the Cylons.
The
Yeah.
Cylons. I don't know if you read this, but this is adapted from a novel by Edward Ashton, which is Mickey 7. And Bong Joon-ho decided to make it 17 just because he wanted to kill this character 10 different ways. So it's like, I'm going to add a couple. Um, so, yeah, like I mentioned before, Robert Pattinson's doing this really weird um, voice that just doesn't like you've seen him in other stuff and you're just like, where is this coming from? But he just he's very milk toast. And yet somehow he ends up in a relationship with Nasha, who what she sees in him, I have no idea. And even though they're told by what's his name's character, Mark Ruffalo's character, Kenneth Marshall, that they need to wait until they get to the planet in order to copulate. These two are not waiting.
No, and
And
she
we
knows that he's a clone. It's not like it's a secret on the ship. Everybody knows that he's a
right.
clone.
Yeah, but she defends him as a human and that he has rights. Already it's kind of like all over the place. It's the montage of him getting killed numerous times, and you're just kind of chuckling, going, all right, this is kind of funny. This guy's just getting slapped around like a rag doll.
And then when we get back to present, because, it doesn't take the whole movie to do this flashback. It's only about
No,
the first
thankfully
25
you come
minutes.
full circle. Right. Well, we're left with him at the beginning, being attacked by these giant bug creatures. And so he's like, well, they're going to eat me and hopefully it's quick, which is like, okay, all right. And then you get the whole flashback and told. And then when they catch up again, he's got the giant bug on top of him and he thinks he's about to be eaten. And the little babies come along and no, they drag him through the crevasse and then dump him back outside. Am I just inedible? Because I'm basically they do explain that Mickey is replicated by using trash and human waste. So
So again, the question comes up, why would this Nasha, even without knowing that, as you said, he's very milquetoast and he's very dim-witted, is a nice way to put it. But knowing that he's made up of human waste is, I
right.
think, just a killer right there.
Is that you? Did you smell? The one thing with Bong Joon-ho is this idea, and we're going to talk about it in Snowpiercer, is this, climate. We have ruined our environment, and so we need to get off planet. But if Earth is ruined, how is this any better? Like, what do we do to Earth that makes it worse than what this planet is?
And
And these people seem ill-equipped to do anything about it.
when they get there, they find out that the air, because they're using Mickey as a guinea pig, they kick him out the door to make sure that the air is breathable. And of course, it's not. It's poisonous. So, what do they kill 5 Mickeys before they
Yeah, just
actually
before
come up?
before they found an antigen or whatever. But
Right.
again, this is like we have the technology to send all these hundreds, if not thousands, of people on a spaceship 4 years out. We couldn't have sent a probe there first to check and see what the air was like. It's an afterthought. It's not even like this is the drive of the movie because you've got all this other weird stuff going on here. Because, like you said, he's saved by the bugs. He makes his way back to base. No one seems to notice him coming back to base. He wanders back into his house or his little apartment, only to realize that they had gone ahead and printed Mickey 18. So now there's 2 of them. And this Mickey 18 is a dick. Like why are they so different? The only thing I could think of, there is a scene, I think when Mickey 17 was being printed, that one of the technicians tripped and pulled out one of the wires from his head.
Quickly tried to plug it back
So
in.
does that, because we don't really get a sense of who and what Mickey 1 and through 16 were personality wise.
There's one scene where Nasha is going through the little differences between a few of them. So you get the impression that they're not all the same 100%. That's definitely the case with 18, who is very aggressive towards Mickey 17.
Yeah, this guy's a little
and why wouldn't you
nastier
be,
and very
actually? Because you realize that
bloodthirsty.
if you both exist, because you cannot have multiples, as they say here, if they both exist, then one of them has to die because multiples are illegal.
Well, 18 clearly thinks that he's the one who should move forward and that 17 should just, you should have died back there. So I'll just kill you now. And of course, Nasha, when she realizes this, like her first thought is, oh, we're having a 3-way. And I'm just like, what is going on here? That was a little uncomfortable scene with the elderly couple that was sitting next to me in the theater. It got really quiet. But yeah, it's fun because Pattinson is clearly playing 2 different, very Jekyll and Hyde type characters, and they're interacting with each other. It's seamless.
Yeah, it's not like one of the old school, like Parent Trap things where
No,
it's
those days are long
obviously,
gone, but
yeah.
this is really well done. And he's playing like Mickey 17 looks a little bit shorter because he's like a shrinking violet. He's just kind of like gaunt and he's got this dorky haircut. And 18 just stands a little taller. He's a little Leo. He's got a little bravado. He's got a little chip on his shoulder. And they play off each other. It's really well done. This whole sequence where they have to deal with each other.
You get the basic setup here, and then now you have the two Mickeys. They try to kill each other in the furnace room. The character of Timo comes in. Glenn, you find out that he not only
Selling
left Mickey to
drugs.
die, but he's selling drugs. And when they did the loan from the loan shark, he put it in Mickey's name and not his own. And so this guy is just terrible. So Mickey
Yeah.
18, suddenly he wants to kill Timo. And then it gets into a subplot of the president asking Mickey to dinner, and they're really
This
just
is
testing him for growth
yeah,
hormones because
this
they
is
put
out
it
of
in the
nowhere.
food.
This is really bizarre.
So it
Was
loses
this
focus.
Yeah, it is a little all over the place. There really seems to be no direction on some of this stuff. Um, because that scene is weird. And Toni Collette, who plays Marshall's wife, is clearly the one who like he leans on her to make decisions. He can't, like he just seems very inept. Just a setup for him to eat this meat, which just looks like a raw piece of liver.
Yeah,
It,
so the scene was really talk about expendable. It didn't need it. It was more exposition about.
no,
Then
because
you
it's
bring in this
why.
brunette who kind of becomes like a
Oh, Kaya,
maybe a
Kaya,
second love interest that never
yeah,
pans out.
like she's
Yeah.
yeah. There's some
So
weird
all
stuff
this
there.
could have been excised, I think, because
Right.
again, it's a long running time. It's 2 hours, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think if it just lost focus for me. It got interesting again at the end when those creatures come back into it, but by that time it was already.
Because they cut open a rock and Marshall's gonna have this big ceremony. I did like this little, even though it's like this very white supremacist speech about, we're gonna recolonize this place.
So
Like, all
they
right, not
break open
again.
this Plymouth Rock that they've,
Yeah.
mined from wherever on the planet to be their cornerstone, and these creatures come out. One of them, the little babies that you've
Yeah,
seen earlier,
correct.
one of them just jumps on Mark Ruffalo's face, probably not to do anything, but they shoot it
Right.
aggressively until it's nothing but jelly. And then there's a
Mhm.
second creature that comes out, which they then capture. There's a running joke because Toni Collette is always making sauce and asking people to taste her sauce. And she somehow works out that the tails of these babies, once ground up, makes great sauce. So
Grandma's secret
it
ingredient there.
wasn't funny the first time,
No,
and
no,
it wasn't
and
funny like the 20th time, because then it turns into Gorgo because they have this little baby
they
captive,
gotta
which is
they gotta
screaming,
yeah, this is Jurassic Park Lost World.
and every other creature on the planet can hear its screams, and they're all surrounding the spaceship, and they're just waiting there, like circling, circling, circling. So that's when they push out Mickey 17 and 18. It's like, if you try anything funny, we have an explosive device right here. We'll blow you both up. We want you to get to the leader of these creatures, the big one. What was the plan, that they were going to explode when they were right next to it? I don't remember.
I
But
don't think there was a plan. It was a stupid plan.
there was
It
a
was just
translator given to Mickey by one of the sympathetic scientists, almost exactly the same thing that's in Snowpiercer.
there's a lot of parallels.
So, and then makes me wonder if they're in the same universe. So,
Oh, it'd be great if at the end of the movie just a train one goes by.
yeah. So Mickey can actually speak to
But
the
there was a
big
little,
creature.
but there was a sequence where you got the impression that he could speak to them, like he kind of understood the big one. But yeah, this girl gives him the translator. So now he's out there trying to negotiate with her, going, "Why do you want to eat us? What are you doing?" He's like, "No, you took my baby. You killed my baby.
Yep, yep.
Give me
And he's
my
like,
other baby back and kill one of your own, and then we're even." Oh, that's it.
and if you don't do it, we're going to scream until all your heads explode. And
Which I was waiting when they were all screaming. I was waiting for like a giant one to show up. Like they were all just little minions, but that didn't happen.
no,
And these are pretty well designed creatures. They are pretty cool.
They're like fuzzy mites, like giant mites, but with
Yeah,
fur on
they
them.
had like a
Yeah.
weird, what are those water bears looking slugs?
Yeah, they call
Yeah,
them creepers
genius.
because they creep.
Yeah, because they're creepy. Yeah, Marshall sees that they're trying to negotiate with us, and now he's got to go lead the charge, and he's going to go out there like a general in war, and he's going to take these things out, and
Yeah,
they're going
because
to film it and make it
the
look like he's the
he
hero.
wants it on film that he's going to be the one to press the button because I guess he wants to explode the big thing. Mickey 18 and Mickey 17 have broken apart at this point, so 17 is dealing with the creature while 18 jumps on the vehicle that Mark Ruffalo is on and they start to fight and end up blowing up the vehicle because he presses the 18 button and sacrifices himself
Right.
to kill Marshall. And then once the creature sees that, hey, there's a
There
human
you
has
go. You
been
took one.
killed
Yep.
over there, there's your human, one for
There you
one.
go. It's an eye for an eye.
Yep. And they deliver the baby back to the lead creature
Now
and
that
they
baby
go
not
away.
only had its tail chopped off, it was shish kebabbed with a big giant hook and it dropped partly
Yep.
into the lava.
So Marshall's dead. Tony Collette, we hear, dies the next day, even though there's like a dream that Mickey has where
This
it
is
makes
a
you think that she's
really
still
weird
alive.
right. And all of a sudden we're at this ceremony 6 months later. Natasha's been elevated to lead the council, where she was just a security guard.
Yeah, a soldier, right?
Right. And I was waiting to find out that she was pregnant, but that never panned out
Yeah.
since they were having so much sex. But and they're gonna blow up this replicator. That's it. No more replications.
No
We're
more
not gonna do this.
clones.
But
Mickey 17 is going to be the last Mickey.
but wouldn't it make sense if you're trying to repopulate a planet to keep that to make pigs or chickens so that you can have a
That
food
would be a good
source?
idea, yeah.
Oh, no, no, we're just gonna blow it up in a ceremony. But that dream sequence that Mickey has, where all of a sudden he sees Tony Collette and she's reprinting Marshall, because it makes sense if he's the leader. Well, why should this guy have all the fun? If something happens to me, we'll just make a new me. And you're like, what is going on? And then yeah, it's just a dream sequence. It's really out there. There's definitely some good moments, but I think overall it just kind of falls a little flat.
And I was expecting more of a comedy just because like
It is not
the
all the
wackiest
reviews.
moments are in the trailer. So it
Yeah.
seems like from the trailer that it's going to be funnier, but it's actually very dramatic. It's very he's trying to wrestle with these weighty themes and he doesn't really take them as lightly as you think the movie will. So that's kind of what makes it a drag, unfortunately. Well, it does for me.
Well,
I don't want to stop anybody from seeing it because it does have
correct.
interesting ideas. It does have great performances by Robert
Yes.
Pattinson.
Yeah, no, I think he's phenomenal in this.
It makes me think because, okay, this is Bong Joon-ho. Before I went to actually see the movie, this is Bong Joon-ho. Why is this coming out in March? Why didn't they put this out in December because he's a Oscar winner, right?
Yeah.
Make it eligible for the Oscars. Then as you're watching, I'm like, oh, okay, I know why they didn't.
So I think it was actually supposed to come out like April, and then they just dumped it here in end of February, beginning of March. It's not doing well in the not from the numbers I saw.
No, and not that you would expect it to, because this is like a
No,
future
well,
cult movie.
yeah,
It's
but I think Parasite has really opened people to potentially watch a quote unquote foreign movie, and the fact that this is all English speaking actors. There's no subtitles that you would at least been and Robert Pattinson, like I said, you know, coming out of Tenet, seeing this guy, and especially in Batman, I'm like, all right, this guy, like, there's something about him. Don't just judge him based on his Twilight character.
yeah,
He's going
he's
out of
very
his
good.
way.
He's very
Yeah,
good.
no, he's fantastic. He's the highlight of this movie. And the fact that he's basically playing against himself as two completely different characters. I mean, yeah, they're the same person, so to speak, but they do have different personalities. I think that there's satire vibes in here. At times I was getting like Starship Trooper satire, but not to that level. And maybe it was just because of the giant bugs.
Right. Yes.
That was definitely a lot more self-aware and a little more, nail on the head in certain aspects. But this was tonally, this is kind of all over the place.
Plot wise, it's all over the place
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
It's not focused. It goes in several different directions during the
Mm.
runtime. I don't know. I'm not the screenwriter. Yeah, I enjoyed our second feature much more than this one. It's
Yeah, no,
needless to
but
say.
there's a lot of parallels though. Like you watch these two movies back to back like we did, and you're like, yeah, no, there's a lot of the same stuff going on here. And I don't know, is it just a product of his upbringing dealing? Because there's a lot of the haves versus the have-nots. The Mickey's not even recognized as a human being. He's just a
No,
means to an end,
no.
which defeats that entire scene where they invite him to dinner just to use him as a lab rat. That's what he's there for. Why even pretend that he has human emotions? Like the rest of the movie, they're just treating him like, yeah,
Like garbage, like
yeah,
human
he's a means to
garbage.
an
Yeah,
end.
yeah.
Listen, you signed up for this, man.
Yeah, I still admired it. There was certain aspects of it that I did admire. It's time for buckets. I'm gonna go 3 1/4.
I'm gonna sit at three. I kind of just sat there at the end of this movie thinking, wow, Snowpiercer's a gem compared to this. But you're right. Don't not see this. I think, unfortunately, because it's coming right off the Oscars, we got a whole other year before Oscar talk for next year, and this will get lost. But Pattinson is amazing
I've
in
seen
this.
articles where people are saying he deserves 2 Oscar nominations for the
Well, I
two
don't know if I go that
characters.
far.
Well, in that case, give Michael Keaton like 17 Oscar
Oh, there you
nominations for
go. Yeah, multiplicity.
multiplicity.
Yeah. And I mentioned at the top before we even got into this that Brad Pitt, his production company Plan B, is involved in this. So everyone is riding high on Parasite. Oh, this is his next feature, man. Let's go. I'm all in.
Yeah.
And this is what we get. Niflheim. Let me just say that one more time. Niflheim. Yeah. All right.
So let's leave Mickey 17.
Are we going to the concession
We're
stand?
going to the concession
I'm
stand.
gonna say in both these movies, concession stand treats are gonna be disgusting. Did you go protein block?
I did not.
No, you couldn't find chocolate covered grasshoppers or something.
Although, I would welcome black colored Jello, which basically what those protein blocks were. I wonder what flavor they because the actors were eating them. I wonder what flavor or what they tasted like, if anything.
Cockroaches is what they tasted like.
Yes, that's a vision I will never get out of my head. But before we get there, I do have a treat, and this was obvious to me, actually. As soon as it turned out we were covering Mickey 17, I immediately thought of the Mickey Premium ice cream bar sold in the Disney parks. This is this chocolate-covered white ice cream shaped in the Mickey head and ears that is just part of your park experience. If you go to a Disney park, whether it be in California or Florida, or I'm sure internationally, at some point, something inside you drives you to that cart to get a Mickey ice cream pop. You're there. You have to have it's just like a rite of passage every
Is
time.
it a Mickey sickle?
It's not really a popsicle. It's ice cream. It's an ice cream treat covered in chocolate.
But it's shaped like Mickey's head.
Yes.
So do you bite the ears off first? I would think.
Of course. Well, what would you
Okay.
do? You would have to
What
eat
else could
through
you?
the stick in order to not bite the ears off
Okay,
first.
so ears first.
Yeah. You have to have some integrity at the bottom of the head in
Yeah,
order to
that
keep
is
it on the
true.
stick.
That is true.
The thing about this that surprised me the most, it didn't debut in a Disney park until 1985. So this thing didn't even exist for decades. For 30 years from Disneyland opening, and then another 15 from Disney World opening. So yeah, it didn't premiere until 1985. And this is amazing. It just goes to show you how many things Walt had his fingers in that we take for granted today.
He had his fingers in the
He had his fingers in the
Mickey
middle.
stickle.
In the 50s, as Disneyland was in development, I guess popsicles at that time had rounded sticks. Maybe they were plastic. They probably weren't wood if they were rounded. So he says, this is no good. If somebody eats a popsicle and throws the stick on the ground, they're going to slip and whoop, they're going to break their back, and I'm going to get sued.
Okay.
So he said, I want flat sticks for the popsicles in Disneyland. And lo and behold, that became the industry standard from Disneyland. So if you eat a popsicle on a flat wooden stick, you can thank Walt Disney for that.
Why did I just draw my popsicle stick with a rounded end on it? I think all popsicle sticks have rounded ends.
Well, I think that's what the Disneyland design was. Some,
Okay.
of course, we have the straight popsicle stick as well, but the idea came from Walt Disney.
Oh.
The other surprise was that when they were introduced to the parks in 1985, they did not look like Mickey. They didn't have the ears and the head. It was still a Mickey bar, but it was just a generic oval shape. I'm like, why would you do that?
Well, they probably had to create a mold.
This is true, but the famous outlines existed back
Sure.
then. I would have thought it would have been easy in 1985.
Yeah, there were still hidden Mickeys.
Yeah.
That would have been the greatest hidden Mickey
It wasn't
ever.
until the 90s that it took its iconic Mickey shape with the ears and head.
That's weird.
Originally, it was a mix of both vanilla and chocolate, but now, as everybody knows that has ever eaten one of these things, it's complete vanilla ice cream with a chocolate hard casing
There you go.
around
That's the
it.
only way to do it.
Yeah. And as you said, you got to, bite off the ears first. Now, when you're in hot, muggy, humid Florida, this thing only has a certain window of time before it melts down your hand.
Right.
And the shell loses its integrity and breaks apart. So you got to eat this thing quickly or it becomes a very messy proposition. If a kid's eating this, forget about it. It's all over their face, all over their hands, all over their clothes. 33 million sold a year at Disney World in Florida alone.
Wow.
So many that Nestle, who makes the treat, and I think Nestle is now Ferraro from all of our previous.
Who isn't? Yeah, I was going to say.
But Nestle, the name of Nestle is still on the packaging that you can buy. They had to create a special facility in Fresno, California, specifically for the
Just
manufacture of these bars.
Wow.
170,000 a day are made and shipped off to the parks around the country.
Huh.
I assume in train cars that, sometimes Frosty and Karen hop on when they're going to the North Pole.
Chris Evans not in the back.
No. You could only get them in a Disney park until 2019. 2019 was the year of Mickey Mouse's 90th birthday. So a 90th birthday edition was released for grocery stores. So you could get a 6-pack of these Mickey bars. And to this day, the standard variety, the non-90th birthday, still available in grocery stores. But park fans will tell you they're not the same. It's not the same. They're smaller, first of all, to fit 6 in a box.
Ooh.
And there's a different, if you look at the ingredients, the percentages, there is a different mix of most everything, most notably the milk and the chocolate. So there's a different, it's not just the feel, which is huge when you're in a Disney park, the magic, if you will, but the taste is different as well. So Disney diehards, they eschew the grocery store variety.
Oh, well, see, listen, that's smart on Disney's part to trying to expand that. That's like getting a box of the White Castles that
Yeah.
you throw in the microwave for a minute. They're never going to taste like the ones, but that's as close, unless I'm going to Disney. So what is the point of purchase price in the park.
In the
What's it going to
park,
set me back for one of these?
it's, just like everything else, the prices are
Oh, that's expected. That's
elevated.
fine. Yeah,
It's,
that's
I
fine.
think, because of course, we got one, because you got to get at least one when you're there.
Right.
It was about $6 or $7 for one.
Okay. That's listen. And you got to scarf it down because otherwise it's all gonna end up on the hot concrete anyways.
Yeah, and hopefully people don't throw the sticks on the ground as Walt was envisioning.
No, that's why he had those underground garbage cans.
But that would have been great, though. Just think, 1954, Disneyland opening day. It's hot. It was hot because, as legend has it, the asphalt still hadn't completely set,
Ooh,
so
it was bubbled.
it was so hot it was still gooey.
LeBray tar pits. I would have put up a
Yeah.
sign and charged extra.
I could just see, just like in Little Rascals, people like flying up in the air
Whoa.
from their popsicle sticks.
How many people per day get brain freezes from eating them real quick?
I'm sure it's multiple. Although,
then I'd have a lemonade stand like right down.
I have never myself ever experienced brain freeze.
Ever?
No.
Really?
They should make a movie about me, just like that Jack
Wow,
Quaid.
you're impervious to brain freeze.
Impervious to brain freeze.
It is not fun. I think the trick that I've always been told as a kid is you put your thumb on the roof of your mouth, the inside roof of your mouth.
I've always thought it was a hoax. I'm like, I don't know what everybody's talking about.
Really? No,
Yeah.
it's not. It's not pleasant at all. Huh.
So the treat has garnered such a cult following on its own that Disney has taken notice. Not only do they make it available in grocery stores, they also have a line of merchandise built around the Mickey Premium Ice Cream Bar.
What?
So, so you can get
Okay.
T-shirts, you can get little, tchotchkes that look like the little, Christmas ornaments that look like the
Okay.
little Mickey ice cream bars.
They do that for all their treats, like the churros?
They
Churro
do, but
tchotchkes?
it's not like the Mickey. The Mickey
Well, the
is
Mickey's,
far and
Mickey's
away.
a licensed icon there.
That's IP right
Three
there.
circles right there, and that's all it takes. Huh.
So there you have it. The
There you
Mickey
go.
Premium Ice Cream Bar.
Mickey Premium. Next time you're there in Disney.
Yeah. And
Scarf
not that
one down.
I didn't even put it together with the frozen climates of our two films, but it really lends itself. I
That
think.
might have been the first roadside treat in Niflheim.
Yeah. The Mickey Ice Cream Bar.
Yeah.
Got to open up a Disneyland on Niflheim.
There you go. Well, you've already got a Mickey, so
Yep.
there you go.
All right,
Well, very
Snowpiercer.
fascinating. Snowpiercer, 2013. Pretty wild.
Yeah, it doesn't. All these things, just like the years, are just going by and by, and these
Yeah.
movies get older and older. The
Speaking
classics.
about things going by and by, there were so many production company logos at the opening of this film. It was as long as the train itself. It just kept going.
They lost me at the Weinstein Company. I'm like, oh, really? Can't you
Yeah, I
take
know.
that off there now. Oh, it's terrible.
I did find it interesting. It was the Ministry of Korean Tourism was one of the promoters or
One of the
production.
producers, really?
Yeah, I'm like, who decided they wanted to go to Korea? Well, maybe that's open it up. Let's go. Hair and makeup also got top billing in these opening credits.
Good.
I will say that.
Well, listen, Chris Evans either did this right before or right after Winter Soldier. So they actually do a good job of making him look not emaciated, but at least thin. Like his face looks hollow.
He looks gone. I will say the hero of this movie is the cinematographer. Beautiful. Yeah. Well, this is the famous story of he was filming this when they went back to do edits of The Avengers, which came out in 2012. And Joss Whedon got the cast back together to do that infamous end credit scene where they're all sitting at the shawarma shop. And the reason that Chris Evans, Captain America, is sitting there with his hand over his face is because he had grown a beard for this movie and he was hiding it.
Oh. Well, how do you completely hide a beard?
He did with his hand.
Was there some CG involved
if you
in
see,
that?
I don't think so because they're all slumped around the table
I mean,
eating,
but
and he's just
I have
kind
to
of
look
like
at that
sitting-
again.
Yeah, you got to go back and watch it. It was a last minute ad to the movie. after the
Well,
battle
they could have
sequence.
used anybody then if they just put
No, that was
cover your face
no,
with your
Sam,
hands.
listen, get back in here, Chris.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I didn't shave. So this was he was coming right off of Avengers.
So he must
when
have
He did
done
this. Winter
Winter
Soldier
Soldier after this.
after this.
But yeah, he's
Yeah.
pretty well hidden. It's not like he's like some bulking guy that they try to hide in
No,
big
I
baggy
think they
clothes.
did. I think they did a good job of hiding his physique. The cinematography on this, the color hues, cool, very gray, dreary.
Except when
Everything
you're
is
in the
kind of
upper class cars, interestingly
yes, yeah.
enough.
Then it's brightly lit, and there's a lot of questions I have to. I get it. It's
Yes.
they bang you over the head with the whole
And so
social norms
this is
of
based on a graphic novel, right?
yes, yes.
So it's not like it's a boardroom aha moment in a studio somewhere in a movie studio. How about this? We have a train that doesn't stop and they're the only survivors left on the world, and it goes around the world. Let's make that movie. And they don't think
Yeah.
about the how or the why or the whatever. That's
No,
what it
because
looks like this is.
on paper, and then in the graphic novel, it probably was like this is friggin' genius,
Mhm.
right? It's like society all contained from tail end to the front end.
But they say that it goes around the world. Do they ever explain how it goes over the oceans? I assume that they're frozen, but how would you lay the track
Hold
on?
on. Well, there is a scene. There's a scene right toward the very like when we're first introduced to because we're told time and time again about Wilford is the mastermind behind this train, and he is the he's at the head, and he's the visionary that created this, and that's Ed Harris. And you see like a little montage of him growing up and his idea that he always wanted to have trains. And there is a split second scene of the globe with the tracks and how it all connects. But you're right. At some point, you have to go either over the Arctics or you got to go, over an ocean. We did get to one scene where they went over the big bridge, which was like that indicates that they've 1 year. It's taken them one solid year. That's their Happy New Year's,
Hmm.
the Yekaterina
And,
Bridge.
they do have that flashback as, Wilford is a kid who just is obsessed with trains. And I think he says to himself as a kid, I want to live on a train someday or
Okay,
something to that
fine
effect.
enough there, Chachi. That's good. But did they foresee that the world was going to freeze and
Well,
that we'd all
according
have
to
to?
this, Wilford knew that the world, and so you're thinking to yourself, did he orchestrate this in order for this to happen? So his
Right, or again, the idea of uh, climate that humans have destroyed the climate of the planet, and that this is what we forced. And you see that opening montage that we're going to release this CW7 solution into the air to somehow fix the ozone layer,
the Earth is getting too hot, and this is supposed to cool the
which
Earth.
we've been told since we were 4 years old that gases are being trapped. But this just feeds into the conspiracy theory that chemtrails, that we somehow can control the weather, because that's exactly what he tried to do, but it got the end result wrong.
But it starts out with this montage, but just like any good apocalyptic movie worth its salt, you get this very somber. The world, in some of them, the world ended in 7 days or whatever. But so you're getting like little snippets of newscasts and things, the CW7 being shot into the air, and then there's like a little blurb on the bottom of the screen. Within 2 days, the Earth was frozen. And then you're thinking to yourself, well, then how did they have enough time to get
And
on the
who,
train?
right, and like, who decided who could go get on this train?
If they hate the back car so much, why are they even there in the
Why
first
do they
place?
have steerage? Correct. It doesn't make any sense. This falls
Just to have
apart.
kids so they can go and
Well, it's not like they're eating the children. They're eating each other in the steerage. And I will say, Chris Evans' character, as he gets closer, because you're introduced to him immediately with his buddy Edgar and John Hurt, who is completely underutilized in this movie, but he's Gilliam, the old man. And you see that they're being repressed, or you see that they're being subjugated by the military or whatever forces that they have on this train to keep them in check, but they have every intention of leading a revolt. They're counting how many seconds the gates are open. We just need to get to the engine. You get to the engine, we save the world, kind of a thing. But you're right, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you even keep people in the back like that? Because all they're doing is eating your resources.
Yeah, and the only reason they seem to have them is to take their kids so Wilford could have one little kid in the engine fixing stuff.
Right.
That
So you could have a lottery and then you play it like that's like it's a huge honor for your kid for 1 year to go and run the engine.
right.
And then he comes back to you because he's outgrown it. There's limited resources on this train, even though we're shown there's an aquarium car, there's a school car. Um, it just like we find out these protein bars are made from bugs. Where are these bugs coming from?
Yeah.
It's frozen tundra outside, and there's drugs going around. So this is another parallel to the first movie.
It's almost
Not
like
only
there
is
was also a missed opportunity to not have Oogie Boogie in the
with
mixer.
all the bugs. Well, I think that's
I'm
what the
gonna
guy
do
that was
my
making them,
thing.
that guy Paul was acting like Oogie Boogie. He was like high on something. He was,
The guy that's the mix master, the brew
yes,
master
correct.
there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they were playing Strange Brew by Cream when you first see the guy and they get
Oh, I
into
didn't
that
even
car.
pick up on
Yeah.
that.
So yeah, these protein blocks that they make the steerage lower class eat are just jello from bug guts. Now, the
Well, I
interesting
mean,
thing was though, once they get through, okay, so they're in like the last car,
yes,
right? So
literally steerage.
so once they have this great idea because they sleep or the kids sleep in these big like nuclear waste barrels.
Barrels.
So they join them all together like as a battering ram to keep the doors open, like as they're going through the cars, so they can't be locked out. They make it through like the first three, and then they're in like a middle class type car that has windows. But they haven't yet gotten to the bug mix yet. So even the middle class people have to eat the protein
There's
bars,
a
I would
lot of
guess.
questions.
And
It,
those kids, then they eventually get to a school car where, the crazy pregnant teacher is
yep.
teaching them all about Wilford. Still ahead is the upper class cars where you assume these kids live. Do they have to walk through all these other things to get to school?
Yeah, because you never see like living quarters. Like all these people have to live somewhere.
Like they have to stop the rave so the kids can go to school every
Yeah, this is
morning?
a little over the. There's literally a car that's nothing but an orgy. There's a rave going on.
There's a shopping car, there's a
There's a
like a beauty
training car. Yeah, like
parlor,
you said, yeah.
there's
It
a
just
pool, there's one with like a swimming pool in it.
right. But like you said, like you can pool your resource. You're not using the people in the back for anything. It's not like we find out that it's Soylent Green and they're eating those people. They're eating each other. Curtis tells the stories about, it sickens me that I know what a human tastes like and that babies are the best. Like that speech is like amazing, but it all falls apart when he gets to the front. Because the other thing we didn't even mention is they're getting secret messages sent through the protein bars, thinking that they have some kind of an ally on the outside that's going to
From
help them
Wilford,
escape.
but it's Wilford, right? That's
We
been
find
sending the
out at the end it's
messages.
Wilford, and
Yeah.
that Wilford has been working with Gilliam just to keep
But
them in check,
Gilliam at
just to
one
give them
point,
hope.
now this is the thing, and hopefully you're listening to this and you've seen this movie or none of this makes sense.
Yeah,
But
sorry.
Gilliam, played by John Hurt, who's the wizened, Gandalf, Yoda, whatever you want to call him, in the back of the car, says to Chris Evans, when you get to Wilford, don't listen to him, cut out his tongue before he talks.
Yeah, don't.
So
He's
is
gonna
Wilford
wrap you up.
lying? I don't think, well, he knows too much. He can't
But
be lying.
right. I was gonna say he had the note. He had
Unless
those
he's got
notes.
surveillance, maybe he is lying. I don't
To
know.
what end? To what end, though? Listen, my time's up here. It's your turn to run the train. What? Like the people on this train are just going to be happy with someone from steerage suddenly taking over? There's so much at this. Listen, it's beautiful to look at. It's you watch this unfold and you're like, wow, this is crazy. But yeah, you pick it apart. I mean, you can easily just like it doesn't make any sense. Like who's cleaning those tracks? It didn't take much. It took one explosion for the whole thing to jump the tracks.
Yeah, an avalanche, and you would think that they would like
They would
hit
be
like 10
multiple.
avalanches
Right.
in an hour.
And the one thing we didn't even talk about is they need to break out of prison. This guy Nam, who is like a master, like he's somebody who actually helped build this train. He
Who
controls the gates.
who we know this actor from Parasite, from The Host. So he's worked with Bong Joon-ho before, Song
Uh,
Kang-ho. So we have seen him before, and he's a welcome appearance here in this movie as well.
yeah, and his sister, Yona?
I think that's his daughter. I don't
Oh,
think it's his
his
sister.
daughter,
Yeah.
you are right. Yeah. And they are both drug addicts. This is the other thing too, which is they've been collecting this
Mhm.
chrono as payment for this guy. Every gate you get me through, you get one of these, which is just it almost looks like that green powdery stuff that you make fake flowers out of, but they're huffing it. So he's high in hallucinating half of this movie. But we haven't talked about Tilda Swinton yet, because boy, she is just chewing up the scenery. She's almost unrecognizable as this character. Magistrate Mason, is that what she was? Mason?
Minister Mason.
Minister Mason.
So she's Wilford's second in command. So she's the one that actually goes and speaks to the people on the train. And she's got false teeth because her teeth come out at one point. She's got a very thick English accent, not upper crust, which is interesting. But yeah, they take her hostage once the steerage revolts and tries to make their way through the train. They have her as a hostage. Unfortunately, she doesn't survive through the whole movie. She's gone within like halfway through.
Yeah, they
But
use her as a shield pretty
yeah,
much to get through. Um, but they stop this revolt because they come in to take the kids and then find out that Octavia Spencer's little son Timmy, little tiny Tim, has been hiding, and they want him. And a fight ensues, and they take the one little boy, and the dad attacks the guards. So as punishment, they stick his arm out this port, and it's like, did you build this port in the train specifically to torture these people? Like, did you foresee that? And they just freeze his arm off and then break it.
yep, a la Claude Van Damme in Time Cop. It's too bad they don't have a guard that just kicks the arm,
Kicks it. Yeah, now they have to use a hammer.
and then one of the guards, the guy that wearing the suit, is like indestructible. He's like the Terminator.
Yeah, there's a couple nice little fight sequences going on here.
Yeah, oh, the one scene where they make it through where they make the protein blocks, and it's just a car full of guys with hatchets.
Yeah,
And
what's up
there's
with this fish thing? They just break out a fish and gut it.
I thought that was pretty cool as well.
Yeah,
They
what,
put the blood on the
like an intimidation. It's like, oh, look,
maybe.
it's
Yeah,
already got blood on it.
yeah.
I'd be like, what is that? If I was raised on that train and never knew what a fish was, you'd be like, I don't know what that creature is.
Well, they did have an aquarium there that when they walked through like the SeaWorld aquarium where
Right.
the
And again, that's like, oh, you guys are lucky. You're in luck. It's once a year. It's sushi time. It's like, but those fish eventually, like, yes, we're told it's a self-contained ecosystem, but I'm not seeing it. You got finite resources. Again, there's no reason to keep people back in steerage.
and where was the aquarium in relation to the school? Was it before or was it after?
I think it's before
Because
because
then
she's
you
still
so
alive. She dies in Tilda Swinton's character Mason dies in the schoolroom
so again you're walking
because they're
through
told,
if you want a sushi dinner, you've got to interrupt this classroom.
yeah, no, it doesn't. I'm trying to make sense of like the train itself, and again, there's windows, and the sky is like shooting through the windows, and I'm like, that's it's you were told that it's freezing outside. Why are you shooting through the windows?
And the
Makes no sense.
soldiers are desperately trying to plug up the windows after the guy shoots
Right.
through them.
Yana seems to have some kind of weird clairvoyant power that never really is explained, other than that she can tell if there's someone behind the doors.
Right.
Okay. And Nam, at the end, it's revealed that Chronol is an explosive. It's like
Mhm.
C4. Yeah, I've been huffing it, but I've also been keeping it. And my whole goal is to get to the front of the train and blow it up.
At one point, there was a cleaning lady that he knew, and they passed their bodies because they tried to leave the
Oh,
train.
there's this famous story. It's to keep everybody in line about the revolt of seven.
Yep.
That yep, somebody tried to revolt. They made it off the train. There they are.
They
They made
thought
it
they
no
could
more than like
survive. Yeah. Nam also every year looks out the window at this plane, and he says that he's been able to see more of it year after year after year. So that means
it's
it's
really
getting
windy.
warmer. Yeah.
It's
That
just
could,
wind.
it's
It's
just wind.
blowing the
Yeah.
snow off it. So the end of this movie is made to be hopeful in the sense that, yeah, he succeeds in blowing it up. This is after Curtis makes it to the front and he has this big confrontation with Wilford.
And just like talking about James Bond again, the villain always has to have dinner with James Bond.
Yeah, yeah, here's a steak.
Yeah.
Just like in the other movie. Here's a steak, but I'm gonna poison it with the knowledge that yeah, none of this makes any sense. There was a neat little fight sequence in this yellow car, which was just all mirrors for some reason. Like I don't know what it was, but maybe they were toilets. But it just reminded me of Bond versus Scaramanga in the
And
House of Mirrors.
but you
Is
know,
it?
all these questions come up as you're watching it, but you don't really care at the same time because what you're seeing is this is cool. I want to see Chris Evans make it to the front of the train.
Yes, yeah. I want answers.
Yeah.
This is like Charlie making it to the front of the Wonka's factory. He's like, here you go, it's yours now. What? Yeah, it's a the social commentary is it's blunt.
You know, you were talking about parallels between Mickey 17 and this. You also have a very guilt-ridden hero. In Mickey, he's guilty and he feels that he's deserving of all this punishment and death that happens to him because he killed his mother. When he was a little
Yes.
kid in
Yeah.
their car, he pressed a red button.
Oh yeah, we didn't even cover that.
No, and that's
Yeah,
what caused his
yeah.
mother to die.
And he feels that this is rightful. Yeah. I all right. I made this decision. I have to live by it now because this is my punishment.
And then you learn at the end of Snowpiercer that Curtis also has this guilt
Yeah.
riding on his head, and that's
Killed it.
driving him.
He killed Edgar's mother and then raised Edgar.
But he didn't eat Edgar. So what baby did he eat?
I don't know, but from what I understand, baby tasted pretty good.
Yeah.
Baby back ribs. I don't know.
Yeah, it's too bad they didn't run into Fat Bastard at some point as they
Get in my belly. So the whole insurgency was planned by Gilliam and Wilford just to cull the herd?
or just to get Curtis to the front so he could
Just send him an invite. Hey, we're bringing you up.
Yeah.
Come check this out. The excess is extremely excessive. So the train blows up. Apparently, everybody dies except for Yona and the little boy. There's
Yes,
got to be other
because
survivors.
the avalanche happens and knocks the back of the train, so anybody that was still alive in steerage is no longer alive.
They have fur coats that fit the kid and her. They make it out, and the first thing they see is a polar bear. And it's supposed to be, oh, look, life is surviving. Life goes on. We can survive. And you're like, do you not know the old adage of bears, which is if it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lie down. If it's white, say goodnight. These people didn't even make it to the end credits and they were eaten. They were dressed like seals.
And
No way
what
that
were they
polar bear
supposed to
walked away.
do? Build a house?
No. You would have to go back and use the train as shelter.
Yeah.
And then you're still in the train. I get it that it was meant to be uplifting ending, but I don't think so.
Mm.
And that's it. It just cuts. You don't never find out if they're the only two alive. It was beautiful to look at. Yes.
And I
Yeah.
think it's extremely entertaining. And I'm willing to overlook these things. It's fun to bring them out in our discussions here. Of course it is. It's still a great watch.
Unlike Mickey 17, where, like you said, it kind of lags in the middle and there's definitely it meanders a bit before it gets back on track. Here, it's like from the beginning on, they just got to make it to the front of the train.
One interesting thing to always keep that sense of forward motion going in the movie, Bong Joon-ho insisted on filming as they were making their way through the cars from
Left or
left to
right?
right. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, at least you have direction. Don't get me wrong, there's some huge leaps in logic if you sit there and start parsing it, but overall, it's a beautiful thing to look at.
Did you read the Harvey Weinstein stuff about this movie? He was still able to be the bad guy
He went out of
in
his
this
way to be the
story.
bad guy? No.
Well, no, he insisted that the movie be cut down. So they tested the cut version for test screenings. The ratings were terrible. They tried the original version in test screenings, and it went through the roof.
Yeah, this is where directors need to have a say.
Yeah.
You can't let me paint and then give it up to committee for
And
someone
he
else to.
specifically wanted the fish gutting scene cut because he's like, "What does that even mean?" And
I
it
did
does.
ask
It
the same
doesn't say.
thing.
It doesn't say what it means. But Bong Joon-ho like made up a story where his
He's like,
father
this is
was
the
a.
most important. Oh,
He's like,
yes, I
my
did read
father
it.
was a fisherman. I need to have this in, so he lied in order to keep that scene.
Well played.
I'm gonna give this 4 buckets,
Wow. Okay.
especially seeing it right on the heels of Mickey 17. It's just
Mhm.
far and away the better movie.
It is. I agree with you. I did watch this first before Mickey 17, so I couldn't help but see the parallels.
Mm.
I'm gonna go 3 3/4.
3 3/4. Okay,
Just
not
under
not
just
far
under
off.
four. Just
Yeah.
under four. Definitely a better movie than Mickey 17, but they both have merits. He's got a lot to say.
My
So
favorite Bong Joon-ho is still the host.
yeah. I meant to mention this earlier only because I do have this, which is we covered Parasite and The Host in episode 102, going all the way back to January 2020. So go check it out if you want to listen to that and stay away from polar bears
Or say goodnight. Either
or
one.
say goodnight. That's right.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what else did we do?
What else did we do? Do you want to talk about your Robert De Niro show?
I can talk about that. Yeah, there's weeks where I have absolutely nothing, and then there's other weeks where I have like 5 things to bring to the table. So I finished watching Zero Day, which is on Netflix. It's a 6 episode miniseries show, I guess. Seems to be pretty self-contained, kind of wrapped it all back up. Robert De Niro, who I think in recent has kind of played a parody of himself. Like it's almost like, people who do a bad imitation of Robert De Niro. He's been leaning into that. But he's pretty solid. He plays a former president who's brought out of retirement to help the current administration when there is a cyber attack where for 1 minute phones go dead, like planes crash, and you got the traffic lights go out and cars, and like 3,000 plus people die. And they refer to this as Zero Day. And so he starts a committee to basically find out who did this. So it's espionage type of there's a lot going on with backstories of characters and their prior relationships, but there's something really wonky going on with this guy that may or may not mean that he's being almost like a Manchurian candidate type of the first 3 episodes were incredibly solid. Unfortunately, it does not stick to landing. I was very disappointed with the last
Oh, too bad.
episode. I don't know if it was just me thinking that there was more here to chew on than what they gave me. They dropped a lot of hints and laid a lot of groundwork for a potential bigger storyline, and it didn't pan out.
Too
First
bad.
3 episodes and then walk away.
Yeah.
You know.
I can't talk about Daredevil because I haven't watched that yet. That's also
Uh,
dropped on Disney
yes, it
Plus.
did. I watched half of the first episode. That's
Okay.
all as far as I got.
But what I can talk about is watching a show that I used to love on Spike TV. Remember Spike?
I do.
They used to show WWE programming on Spike TV. And they also had a show called Most Extreme Elimination Challenge.
Oh,
MXC for short. This was a repurposing of a Japanese game show called Takeshi's Castle, where contestants would perform all kinds of physically demanding games and often get hurt. Apparently, it looked like they did get hurt.
Is this pre-Squid Games?
This is pre-Squid Games.
Pre-Squid Games.
This aired in Japan between 1986 and 1990. But when it was re-aired on Spike TV, the hosts were given new character names and voiceovers. Vic Romano is the host of the show. It's not like they're filming new footage. It's just like different voices with the Japanese. So it's all comedy stuff. It's kind of like America's Funniest Home Videos where you've got Bob Saget's voice over the video that they're playing.
Okay.
It's so funny. You can see this now, this MXC on Prime, on Amazon. There were 5 seasons of it. So if you're a fan, of people slipping and falling, and if you've watched America's Funniest Home Videos just for that purpose,
Yep.
this is right up your alley.
This is what YouTube was made for.
Yeah, but this is on Prime, so you can see all 5 seasons of MXC.
And it's what? Most Extreme
Elimination Challenge. I think it'll come up if you search MXC.
All right. I'll have to check that out. I did want to mention I also caught Flow, which just won Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. First Latvian animated movie. Well, first Latvian movie. It's on Netflix right now. You should go check it out.
It's
Definitely
on Netflix. Okay.
It is on Netflix. No dialogue. Just a point of view of a cat, a bunch of other animals, and dealing with a massive flood. Don't think too much about this because there's some weird whales that make it look like they're on another planet. No humans, but you do see human remains of civilization. It's just kind of like it exists in some weird nebulous universe. But Best Animated Feature, go check it out.
All right. So, well, speaking of animated features, what are we going to do next time?
Are we actually doing a 5 bucket?
We're
It's been
doing
a
a
while
5
since
bucket,
we've done a
yeah.
5 bucket, and this has been on my list for quite some time. And with the live action, I say that in quotes, air quotes, coming in May, we are going to go back to the original Disney Lilo and Stitch, which is a 5 bucket for me. That's why it's a 5 bucket.
Yes. So these are the days of 2D animation.
Almost like the second renaissance of Disney. Why they walked away from this stuff.
I know these movies were hits.
Yeah,
it's not like that they didn't have gas in the tank for 2D animation.
I know. Wife and I just sat down last night and rewatched Tarzan.
Yeah.
Still holds up. As long as you're a Phil Collins fan.
Yeah.
But I will say that entire soundtrack is bangers. So Lilo and Stitch, we are going to Hawaii. So,
I assume
pack your sunscreen.
I assume that when the live action version comes out, we will be covering that as well.
We probably should, but I want to get my love for the original source material out there. I have seen Tia Carrera, who plays Nani in the animated version, is in this, but she's playing a different character, the live action.
Is there a trailer?
There is not a trailer yet. There was a Super Bowl teaser where it was just the CG Stitch running around.
Yeah, I did see that. But I'm interested to see if it is like complete live action and this character dropped into the middle of it.
Well, you've got Pleakley and Jumba who are aliens, so they have to be CG just like Stitch.
Unless they're, like Sid Marty Krofft.
Dude, if they went that route, that would be fantastic.
Like Lost Saucer kind of stuff.
Just giant heads.
Yeah,
that'd be great. So, but the little girl who's playing Lilo looks pretty spot on, and she is of Hawaiian descent. So at least they did their homework on this.
Okay.
So
maybe this won't be, no pun intended, won't be as alienating as some of these other quote unquote live action Disney movies that are in fact just CG.
I guess we'll find out, but we're gonna go to the original first. So
Lilo and Stitch. Next. What year did that come out? What year was that released?
That's a good question. 2002, 2004?
Somewhere
I don't
around
know.
there.
So I'm gonna guess somewhere in there.
We'll know next time.
Yeah,
we'll
you're
know
gonna
next time.
Tune in next time to find out. It might have been
2002. There you go.
Yeah, only because I can tell you based on when I saw it with my kids, and this was we watch this movie endlessly. So I'm very excited, and hopefully you are too.
Yes, I am.
Now I'm waiting for you to tell me you've never seen it before.
Oh, no, I've seen it many times.
Okay. Very cool. All right, go grab your Mickey sickle.
I will.
I can't believe you never had a brain freeze. That's crazy.
Never, never.
It's it's odd.
Yeah, maybe I've
Okay,
just
it's a
got some
superpower.
kind of missing nerve ending in my brain. Who knows?
What it is. Very cool. All right, until next time. Thanks again.
See you later. Thank you.
You got
Bye.
it. All right, bye.
If you like what you just heard, be sure to follow TMI Confessionals of the Nerd Kind on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, or whatever you listen to your podcasts on. Also, be sure to email us at tmipodcast2018@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on all of our socials. We're on Instagram, X, Facebook, Threads. Just go to tmiconfessionalspodcast.com. All of our links are there. And leave us a 5-star review. See you at the concession stand.
And if you don't do it, we're going to scream until all your heads explode.